Welcome back to Law and Crime Daily. Disgraced former attorney and convicted double murderer Alex Murdaugh was back in a courtroom on Wednesday, this time at a federal courthouse in Charleston, South Carolina. Murdaugh entered a not guilty plea to 22 federal charges, which included money laundering, wire fraud, and bank fraud. A federal grand jury indicted him on these new charges just last week. The indictment claims Murdaugh took part in 3 schemes to steal money from his personal injury clients, as well as the family of his longtime housekeeper who died after a fall at his country estate. When news of the indictment came down, Dick Harpootlian and Jim Griffin, Murdaugh's attorneys during his murder trial, released a statement saying Murdaugh had been cooperating with federal agencies and that they anticipated the charges would be resolved without going to trial. When Murdaugh entered a not guilty plea, those same attorneys indicated a deal could still be in the works. Murdaugh is serving 2 life sentences for the murders of his wife Maggie and youngest son Paul in 2021. You'll likely remember during his double murder trial, Alex Murdaugh all but admitted under oath that he stole money from his clients for years. He and prosecutor Creighton Waters sparred about the details during Murdaugh's cross-examination.
I remember lying to clients of mine. I did it on more than one occasion. I took their money when I shouldn't have taken it. I'm sure that I looked them in the eye. I'm sure that I misled them. But I can't tell you exactly when those occurred 12 years ago, is the only point. I don't dispute that they occurred. I don't dispute that everything about what I did was wrong. But I can't sit and tell you the specific details that you're wanting me to give you.
Terry, the state is already pursuing criminal charges against Murdaugh for these financial crimes he committed. So what is the purpose behind the federal charges?
Well, you know what, Brian? They want to make sure that these charges stick. They're trying to get justice for the victims. They're trying to get restitution and prison time. He could win his appeal. And if he wins his appeal, he's out of jail. Now, that's very doubtful, but I think the federal government is making sure that that doesn't happen by bringing these charges. And also, for the criminal financial crimes in state court, they cannot use his testimony from the murder trial against him. So they probably won't be able to do much with that case either. So I think this federal case is going to be a very important case. It's a little bit more tailored. They're only focusing on what happened as far as the law firm is concerned, stealing from the clients and money laundering. But I think it's wise of them to make sure that they pursue this just in case everything goes wrong on the state level.
Yeah. Your Honor, we thought there was going to be a plea today, but I'm sure, as you know, pleas fall apart all the time. What do you think could have been the issue with today's deal? And also, as a judge, do you think there's a way to get both parties to kind of get to that finish line of a plea?
Well, with regard to the question of why the plea broke down today, you know, there are always a million possibilities of everything when it comes to a court. So who knows? You know, he could have been asking for some consideration, although he's serving 2 life sentences. So I don't know what consideration he may be looking for. The state may have been looking for some additional information that he wasn't willing to provide. It's no way to know why the plea deal didn't go forward today. But every day is a new day, and the deal could happen any given day. Now, when the idea of you know, why a different move, why a plea deal, why not? That's up to the lawyers and the person who's being held over the fire, whether they want to get closure and justice to the victims.
Absolutely. Well, thank you for that. Well, a driver is still in the hospital after her car went flying over a tow truck in South Georgia. Take a look at this body camera video of last week's crash. Deputies in a tow truck were at the scene of a highway crash when a driver hits the back of the tow truck's ramp and launches into the air. It hit the back of another car on the way down and then traveled another 20 feet or so before coming to a stop. Deputies rushed to help the driver, who had some serious injuries. One of the deputies was hit by the flying debris, but was released from the hospital in good condition. Welcome back to Law and Crime Daily. Jury selection started this week for another case connected to the Parkland school shooting. Prosecutors are accusing a Florida sheriff's deputy of hiding instead of taking action to save lives. 5 years ago, on Valentine's Day, 17 people were killed at Marjorie Stoneman Douglas High School in Parkland, Florida. The defendant, Scott Peterson, was highly criticized for running away instead of helping people on the 3rd floor of one of the school buildings. On that floor alone, 6 victims died and 4 people were injured. Peterson's defense team argues that the former deputy was taking, quote, tactical cover at the time of the attack, as prosecutors charge him with child neglect and culpable negligence. The judge is expected to decide next week whether the jurors will be able to visit the school building where the mass shooting happened. In the meantime, jury selection kicked off on Wednesday. A group of 50 jurors will be selected to return next week and be narrowed down to a panel of 6 jurors and 4 alternates. Round 1 got off to a slow start.
I don't feel I can be on the jury because I know who he is, and I feel like that he's a coward, and he basically let those children die, and I can't be on the jury.
You can't put any of that aside?
No.
Okay.
I can't. So
You don't think you can follow my instructions?
I can't. I'm.
Okay, no, listen, sir, I appreciate you letting me know. State, you have any questions?
No. I noticed that when you sat down, you turned and said something to the young gentleman sitting right next to you, and it was right after looking at my client. What did you say to him?
I said, I don't know if this is a Parkland case. I don't know. Because it said so on the thing, too.
Is there anything else you told him?
No.
Did you say anything else to any other potential juror?
No. Not at here, at home, maybe. But they're not jurors.
Okay. Nothing further.
Okay, state, based on that, any questions?
No, Your Honor.
All right, sir, thank you very much. We'll give you your card back. You can turn it in at the jury room.
Terry, jury selection is, if not the critical part of any trial. What type of juror will each side want in this case?
Well, I agree. It is a very critical part of any trial. You're going to want a jury who is fair-minded, not like that juror who was sitting there who said he could not be fair in this case and he could not listen to the evidence. So both sides are going to want someone who can be fair like that. Then I think the prosecution is going to want parents on that jury, someone who can sympathize, empathize with what happened at that school. And I think there will be many people who could be parents and who could understand what could have happened. I think the defense is going to try to find someone who is from a military background or from a police officer background, so they can put themselves in the shoes of this individual who was faced with some very risky and dangerous things that he had to respond to. So 2 different types of jurors, but all of the jurors will have to be fair.
Absolutely, Judge Rucker, let's tackle this issue as to whether or not the jurors will be able to see the ins and outs of this school. The judge is going to make a decision, but I want to put you on the bench for a minute. As a former judge, how would you rule on this issue?
Because of the importance of the case and really the graphic nature of it, I would most likely allow for the jurors to be able to visit the location. The defense's argument is that he was making a tactical decision, and that's why he didn't rush in. Well, if we're talking about a tactical decision, the best evidence, in my opinion, would be a site visit as opposed to pictures, photographs, and architectural designs.
Absolutely. And my thing is, they're saying guilty of what happened on the 3rd floor, not the 1st and 2nd. And this is a school that's almost 75 yards long. I agree with you, Judge. They got to go there.